All right, happy Friday, everybody. My name is Laraib Saleem. You can call me like either my first or last name, pronounce he, his, and him. I'm presenting today on my talk on like areca nut prevalence and some people like oral cancers among the Karachi communities, which is a cross-sectional study, and it's a community-based. I'm the first author, following with my preceptors, Kathy Collins, Dr. Jabin, Dr. Zajic, and Charmaine Francis, one of my coworker. So this is like a great project to so that's like today's like agenda. So I'm just not gonna discuss everything here like on this slide, but this is like what it's gonna look like for 20 minutes talk. This is like one of my favorite quotation of Nelson Mandela. Like education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So just like an icebreaker to like make more engaging, have you ever heard about areca or betel nut or its associated toxicity? Ever heard? Any volunteers here? Oh no? Volunteers? Okay, got it. Okay, so this is like one of my favorite slides on areca nut chewing. So I'm not gonna touch on everything, but go pretty quick. So areca nut is it's like the seed of Karachi palm tree that's found mainly in tropical and subtropical regions in South Asia, Southeast Asia, and African Pacific Islands. This is the fourth most common consumed psychoactive substance in the world, only surpassed by nicotine, ethanol, and caffeine. According to like International Agency on Research on Cancer, it's a group 1 carcinogen, which means it induces genetic damage, mutagenic, cancers of the oral cavity, pharynx and esophagus, and it's like also have like other organs, I have like read one more article. It says like now they have like adverse health impact on like pregnant mothers and for the neonates as well. So it's not only with oral cavity these days, it's like more about like other organs as well. So like a couple more folks asked like what areca nut makes more toxic. So that's like arecaline component, which is a primary active ingredient that makes it more toxic because that is the one who actually cause like oral cancers. So that's the habitual chewing of areca nut is a common practice, as I mentioned earlier, in many regions in South Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Asia Pacific regions. And according to World Health Organization, is 600 million people chewed up every year after like ethanol, nicotine, and caffeine. So it's like mixed with other like tobacco products. It can be ripe, unripe, fermented, and as I mentioned, like mixed with other product means like they use with lime, camphor, some kind of like spices they call like nutmeg, clove, cinnamon, and just mix like so there's got a leaf they just put on the lime on it and put that areca nut on the top of it and then consume it. That makes it more toxic. So every time when I present this, I always said like a dose makes a poison. Because every time when they consume it, it's not like itself that nut. It also like the camphor lime that increases toxicity pattern, and that causes oral cancers and other as well. So why areca nut consumption is a global public health concern, as you see like in the slide. So the habit of consuming areca nut consumption in South Asian countries is primarily due to ancient culture and societal norms and lack of awareness. But I'm going to add on one thing here. It's not only limited to South Asian countries. It's now you can see in America as well, especially New York City where I came from. So you can see on more in Queensboro and now I think like everywhere in New York City because it's like the peer and the social circle. For example, like if one of my friends is consuming areca nut or maybe I'm consuming areca nut and we're like sitting together. So like, hey, this is areca nut. So you're gonna try it. So that's gonna increase like, like indulgence, like, hey, let me try this one or not. And then they're gonna addict to those substances. There was one paper in 2021, which I was reading. So you can find the evidence in America as well, especially New York City. So present to Pakistan. So Pakistan has high rates of areca nut usage with approximately 50.3% of males and 28.5% of females reporting use. So research studies suggest that the behavior practice of using areca and nut among different demographics are predominant in Southeast Asia, Western Pacific, East Africa, and other parts of South Asia due to social and societal norms. This will tell you the history of like areca nut. Ooh, so it's not my thing. This is from the HuffPost, and that was from CNN. So when they chew areca nut, by the time for the teeth turn red, and so the teeth gonna come out after a long time, and they got lesions in the mouth, and that lesion's gonna come like bigger by the time, and it eventually got death. So I'm gonna share like one story of one of my neighbor back home. He got died from by using areca nut, and he has like a big lesion on his like cheek, and he got died because after the surgery there is no chance to survive. This is like the timeline for my project. So we just like from December 2021, we started planning for doing my research with mephiceptors in America. So from December to February, we did survey, which is cross-sectional study survey. And then from March 2022 to September 2022, we did data analysis and interpretation. And then from October to May 2023, I finalized my manuscript. Project analyses, as I already touched down the like survey part of it, which from November to December, we started planning. And then the survey was like the 3 month from December to 2024 into February 2022, which is a 3-month survey, and a cross-sectional study that further entails like research objectives, which we found the prevalence of areca nut and oral cancers among the locals of 6 districts in Karachi. And then that for the analyses, we use like regression analyses, observation p-value, that further surrounds with like 3 different factors, confounding factors, which is gender, age, ethnicity, and smoking status. Interpretation was based on what we have found in our study. There's association between areca nut and oral cancers. And the conclusion was based on those generalizable results. Sampling. I'm just so fancy, so I'm just like making little animations in here. So this is our sampling. So we did like purposive and snowball. So for those who don't know about snowball and purposive, so I'm going to tell about, we call random sampling. So it's door to door. So it's not like a pre-assigned like district. So we just do door to door sampling that was random. And when we talk to the local residents, so for example, if I and then X person was talking, doing the survey. So the Y person came and then said like, hey, what's going on over here? Can we be a part of the study as well? So that is a snowball sampling that showed them interest to be a part of the study. So that 2 different sampling techniques allowed us to moving forward. So we approached 790 individuals, 780 agreed to complete the survey, and 760 actually completed the survey, which sells like approximately like 97% response rate. So what I would say here is the survey was based in Urdu and other languages as well, because those people obviously like almost all of the participants are not aware to read and write. So we just ask questions and just like a pencil and a paper survey. So this is like general demographics, so which are presented numbers and percentage as well. So 460 of adult male, which makes 51% of the participants. Adult female, which is 200, tells like 26% of the participants, and 100 was children, 13%, which overall 100%. So within age is 5 to 13, 18 to 34, 35 to 49, 5 to 50 to 64 years of age, and 65 years and older. So 5 to 13 were 100, which tells 13%. 18 to 34 were 210, which makes 28% of the composition. 256 were 35 to 49, that makes 37% of the population, and 154 were 50 to 54, which makes 20%, and 40 were 65 years and older, which tells 5%. Same with ethnicity is Sindhi, Balochi, Punjabi, Pathan, Muhajir. So 450, you see like Sindhis were more, which makes 59%. Adult, like Balochi were 100, Punjabi were 70, Pathan were 50, and Muhajir were 90 in numbers. And you can see like 13, 9, 7, and 12%. This is like the results, what areca nut consumption they in numbers. So adult males were more consuming areca nut compared to female, and children, as you can see, 400, then 105 and 60 of our study participants. So you can feel like adult male were more active, like smokers compared to like a female and children. And when you look over like ethnic groups, so it's like, sorry. So like Sindhi are more active users. So Sindhis are pretty dominant, like in terms of using areca nut, plus they're active smokers as well. And if you look over like by age, so 18 to like 34 years of age also are like involved in active smoking as well. So they're active users of smoking, plus they're also active users of areca as well. So that's a general trend what we have found in the age and ethnicity, and I think gender as well. So it's pretty similar trend in smoking and So in terms of like odds ratio, so I'm not gonna like tell every odds ratio here. So in terms of odds ratio, it's like pretty like positive associated. But when it comes to like significantly associated, so it's only female, which is 3.14, which is less than 0.05 p-value. They're significant. And 18 to like 34 years of age, they reported like, which is 2.48 Mason odds ratio. So they are significantly associated. So the rest of the group is not associated in terms of like the p-value. But in terms of odds ratio, yes, they are positively associated, except Batan, which is 0.83, which is negative association. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a chance of bias. That's why they're not significantly associated in terms of, because female were more, like in terms of telling the truth, in terms of male, because there were like three factors. So they believe like in a male dominated society and back home, male are not open to, because they're still like, oh, if you report like more oral cancers, it can be judgmental. So that's why they're not open to tell about their like oral cancer history, but female were more open to tell, like what they have and like oral cancers. Same with 18 to like the 34 years of age group, they are more in telling because they are youth and they're concerns of their health. Otherwise, the rest of the group and other ethnic groups are not open to tell what's going on with oral cancers because they feel like if they're gonna open like in front of us, so it may be judgmental or like peer pressure, maybe like, we're gonna do like judging on base, like because they believe like male can be healthy. So they just say like, because it's pretty obvious by their teeth, like what they're eating, but they cannot tell like they have oral cancers because they're gonna hide it. But females, I would so like appreciate female, which open a lot to us and in terms and show their concerns, like what they have. Awareness rates, that plays a critical role in our study. As you feel like male were 14% of males were aware of areca use, but they're still using it. They're still like, we know the toxicity, but we're gonna still using it because they're addictive to those substances. Compared to children, which is 8% because they're little school going, so they were aware of their toxicity, but females were less likely because it's 5%. If you look over like ethnicity, so I would say Punjabi and Muhajir were more like aware because Muhajir group is actually going to schools more and they're more educated compared to other ethnic groups like Sindhi. They're staying at homes, they're not going to school anyway. So they were not aware of areca nut use. Compared to like age, which is 13%, like 35 to 49, I would say like it's pretty close with 80 to like 34 years of age. They know like it's gonna cause oral cancer, but they're addictive to the substance, so it's like really hard to change their behaviors, like during our project time. So I'm gonna go to the conclusion, which is like this data presents like in study can inform future intervention and areca nut cessation programs among both urban and rural communities in Karachi. As per our knowledge, this is the first study that focuses on areca nut consumption and self-reported oral cancers in a large population size of Karachi, city which has the highest population rate compared to other states of Pakistan. It also tells like increasing areca nut consumption among children aged 5 to 13 years, which had only been characterized in adolescents and adults. So the strength of our sampling is, of our study is a sampling because we do like two types of sampling because this population is hard to reach because some is like lost to follow-up, they don't have trust. So that both sampling techniques made us to make this study possible. Otherwise it's really hard. And some, as I mentioned earlier, like hard to reach because I'm gonna tell like one thing over here, this is the mafia thing. Because when I was doing my research over there, a group came in with like those, like weapons and like, why are you here? To educate people. So it's like the same mafia like other drugs. So that's why they don't want people educating. So that is why like we feel like this is sample size, we're not expecting that size, but that technique helps us to gain more trust among the community. So future studies should further examine this like areca nut consumption in other parts of Karachi, which would direct the focus of public health efforts based on the specific needs identified in our study, in the area examine. So obviously this is the first study because of when I was reviewing my, like articles. I found like one school going, the one on females. It's like really hard to find like in one paper all ethnic groups like gender and ethnicity at one point. So that's why I just make this study with my professors to just make as a like as a base for whoever comes and doing like part 2 or part 3 of this research, like cessation program and other things. So that's as a base for them to continue. And I'm also looking forward to continue as well, because so the response I received from the IPHC conference last year in Atlanta was very commendable. They said like you can do the next process of it because they want to know like what's going on, which because the quitting like areca nut is really hard, like quitting smoking, and we have like I don't believe like we have enough programs to quit like areca nut. It's like only 2 or 3 programs, so we should work on that part and see how it's gonna go. This is my contact information, personal and email, and I'm happy to take any questions or comments and feedback. Thank you.